Welcome back, everyone. We are having another session here, and this time I have one of my really good friends, Ian, from my Disney days. Right? Isn't it crazy? We didn't meet at Disney, but we had a mutual Disney friend.
We met through Disney connections for sure.
We did. So we've been friends for a while, and I'm so glad to have you on the show. So thank you so much for coming and talking with us.
Finally, I mean, I've been dying to get on the show for years.
Well, it hasn't been around for years, but
It feels like years.
Okay, well, that's lovely. So it's really funny you mentioned that because you're such a comedian. We were talking about some of the major comedic acts that are happening kind of right now in the world, and obviously, one of my favorites,
Matt Rife. Yes,
I mean,
obviously,
just amazing. But he's actually really funny, and I really like him. But it was so upsetting that I could not get tickets to his show, and I was just so pissed because it was like sold out. But also, I thought is it because it's a small venue or I don't know. But ideally, I was mad to get to see him. But then, I was also talking about Mateo Lane, who's like one of my other favorite comics that my friend saw him in, I think it was either Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina. He got to see him. And obviously, I saw Andrew Santino.
the redhead.
The Cheeto. He calls himself the Cheeto.
Oh.
And I saw him in D.C. with Shauna a while back, and he was just really, really funny. I loved him because he takes the jokes there, and we were also talking about how I love a lot of my female comics because I hate that we have this narrative like all our female comics are very one dimensional. It's something, dumb, but like these girls I thought were just amazing. And Isla,
Eliza Schlesinger.
Eliza Sledge. I always mess her name up every time. She is so funny, and I love her. I watched her Netflix special. She's really good. And then Catherine Ryan, she was really good too. I think she had a Netflix special, but I saw her somewhere else. Maybe it was on YouTube or a show. She was really good. And of course, my girl Nicole Byer, she is amazing.
I don't know any of those two others. I know
really, you
Eliza
haven't heard them? Okay,
never heard them. I like Taylor Tomlinson. Nikki Glazer.
Nikki Glazer is great. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, and there's some other May Plannert I like. Mark Norman's wife, actually.
Really? Yeah. And then your cousin, he is a stand-up comic, right?
Yeah, my cousin has a show at Chelsea Music Hall on Tuesdays, the second of every month.
Okay.
And usually has people like David Cross on. He has David Krumholtz, who was actually in the new Oppenheimer movie.
You did mention that. Yeah. That's crazy.
And so he's got some good people. And it's good that he's, working pretty hard after the writer's strike that's going on right now.
Oh, so messed up because he was with Jimmy Fallon.
Yep.
Yeah. So damn, that's messed up. But that's still good. He's able to still get out there and do stuff and make it happen. So
we got to go again for sure.
Yeah, it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. The best thing about New York City, maybe it's everywhere, but at least I think in New York City, when it comes to comedy, you can always find a venue that's just so great to go to. Like we just went to one.
We did
recently. We went to Gotham Comedy Club, right?
Gotham Comedy Club.
Yeah.
It was. We saw Michael Feeney, Ian Lara.
Yeah.
Ian Lara was the headliner.
Okay.
And we saw a few others. I forgot their names, but it was pretty well done.
And it was really busy too. Like it's so great that people are getting back out here. Just obviously after everything went through with COVID and life and Trump. But people are just like, it's time to like get back out there and have some comedy in your life. And I think it's so great to kind of have that balance because just you don't want to be depressed and just blah all the time. And I'm glad, at least in New York City, people are getting out again, which is really good to see that.
Absolutely. And I remember Michael Chi did a lot of outside live shows during the pandemic.
I remember that. Yeah.
In Long Island City. A lot of these comedians did that. They had to in the park.
Yeah.
And honestly, they should do it more often, even though there's no pandemic.
That's so true because we have so many events and New York City has so many things going on. And I love the fact that even we have movies in a park, which we'll get into some of that. But yeah, I mean, you have such a city in your backyard. Why not take advantage of that? I think that's so cool. Maybe it's like permits. I don't know.
Could be permits. Could be permits. Could be mosquitoes.
Yeah, we have invasive bugs in our city now. I have no idea what are they called now?
Those like something lantern flies.
Yeah, they're like all over.
Yeah, they're killing everybody, right?
Okay, they're not killing people.
Yeah, they're gonna kill us all.
Okay. Anyway, are there any comics you're looking forward to? Maybe trying to see a show and maybe get out there and see the rest of the summer while you're on.
You know what? I don't know who's available this summer, but I think Mark Norman's always playing in Manhattan. I'd
Okay.
love to see him.
Yeah.
There's a new comedian that I've really gotten into called Troy. His name's Troy Bond.
Oh,
Do you know Troy Bond?
no, no, no. Like me.
Um, he's just very literal and just he screams and he's got good mannerisms and cracks me up. I really can't explain it better than that. Sorry, podcast. But definitely tune into that. Um, Ronnie Chang, I'd love to see live. I
I have
think
heard him. He's really good. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think I just want to go to more comedy shows this year. Just check out every venue in Manhattan
That's good.
and see who we run into. You never know. There's a lot of special guests that come on.
That is true. I remember one time we went to the show and they had some of the people from the cast of Saturday Night Live. At the time I was like crazy to think that in these small little venues, like we went down to McDougal Street, which is like a neighborhood.
Right. That's the place. That's
The
comedy.
place to go.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked. I was like, oh my God, seeing SNL. It's like so cool to see that. But I'm with you. I mean, now my theory is, as a best friend, I think you should get out there and do it. Are you ever going to get the courage to go up there and just
Yeah. You know what?
try it?
I want the right formula of drinks, and I think I found it. I think 3 whiskey shots, maybe a pickleback.
They'll get you up there
Yeah,
and just
it'll
you
do
get your
it.
stand up
Yeah.
together and do it.
Yeah, I'm very observational comedy. Like I will it's all like
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Obviously, it's not nearly as funny as Seinfeld is, but
Well, good.
I like looking and observing and making fun of people. And
I will say you do have some funny, jokes sometimes. You kind
Sometimes.
of come through and it's kind of like hilarious. I can always count on you for a good laugh sometimes.
Thank you. Wow.
The key word is sometimes.
Sometimes. That's the best odds I've had all year.
That's the best you've had so far. Do you ever incorporate that into your dates? Like, would you think your dates are like, oh, this guy must be a comic or something?
Myself, you're
Yeah.
asking? Yeah, I mean, I try to be a comedian at work. I work from home. I'm alone all day.
You're the one on the Zoom calls just making all the jokes all the time.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
I love that. I love that.
I mean, I'm also, I'm a recruiter, so I try to make my candidates laugh and feel
Yeah.
comfortable.
And that's important too. I mean, because it could be a nerve-wracking experience like when you do that.
Especially in this day and age. I mean,
Oh
people,
God,
people
no.
don't want to speak to a robot.
No. Well, they already think that your resume is never really seen by anybody in the first place. But when he asks you to call, it's like a real human.
It's a real human.
You're not an android. You're not like a digital replacement AI. That's
I am not Allen Iverson.
you're not the person coming in and being like, this case may be.
Scary.
Do you usually watch a lot of comedies on Netflix? Like, do you ever spend time like, okay, I saw a new comedy special, I watch it. You just prefer to watch it like in person versus watching on Netflix?
You know what? I think seeing it in person is always really fun, but it's never bad to watch on Netflix and just sit down and see it for free.
Well, Netflix isn't free.
It's not free. In fact, the other day,
It's not free.
the other day they found out that I wasn't living with my parents anymore.
You got blocked on that.
Yeah, so I had to say I was traveling. But we'll talk about that next podcast.
They're cracking down.
Yeah, but I did see Mark Norman's new special.
Oh, how was it?
Very funny. He's just, he's very observational.
Yeah.
Very literal. I mean, I think the best comedians never hold back.
That's very true. And, me and you talked about this where like comics should be free to be able to say what they want to say without so much of I understand the wokeness. I understand like we're progressing, but it's also like it is comedy. You can't take it so literally. And like, I don't think any comic is intentionally trying to really be,
Malicious.
Like malicious or like F some community or a person. It's like, it's a way to get a rile of it. And, me and you both talked about this. Half the time, comics say things that you don't want to say yourself because you just are like, okay, I can't be caught saying that. But if I hear it, it's okay. It's almost like a double standard in a way. It's like, you'll listen to it, but internally, you probably want to say some shit like that.
Couldn't agree more. And I think the best comedians are the ones that can make fun of themselves.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I was telling you about Pete Davidson's show. He has a show called Bumpkins on Peacock. Shout out Bumpkins if you have a chance to check it out. And he just makes fun of himself. Yeah. Like he's like, he knows what's out there about him. He knows what happens. And I think that was the beauty of the show. It's like, it's just him taking things that happen in his life and just playing on it.
Yep.
On top of having an amazing cast on top of that. I mean, it's just like Edie Falco. Like, it's just, everyone's in there and it's just so funny. I try to get you to watch it, but it's a really good, it's a good laugh. So about 30 minutes or so, which I think is, you kind of need that. You don't need a whole hour series.
I love Pete Davidson. Love King Staten Island.
Oh, that was a good
Um,
movie. Yeah, people gave it shit, but I thought it was really good.
yeah, I thought it was well done. I mean,
Yeah.
he, when you make fun of yourself, nobody can touch you.
No, no. And I
Nobody.
think that makes you more authentic and that makes someone more relatable to you. So
100%.
I love Pete
Yeah.
Davidson.
I mean,
I still do him.
remember we saw the really ugly comedian the other night, and he was like, I go on a lot of dates, but I know the girls don't really want to date me. And I was like, I respect that.
You're like, oh, okay, that's great. Well, moving along.
Moving along.
Another thing that me and you have in common is that we love film. We
Love it.
love everything about that. Now, give me a quick background. Like, how did your interest start in just loving film and TV and just anything along those lines?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's just, looking at a movie, it's all about feeling something.
Yes.
It's all about feeling you're kind of like a part of it. You can relate to a certain event in your life. There's a lot of different ways. Obviously I'm Jewish. When I saw Schindler's List, I was very moved by it. I love Spielberg. Um, Obviously, you and I are big Nolan fans.
We are.
When I feel like every Nolan movie is just like a steak dinner. You get everything and more.
Very true. Very true.
And the cherry on top is just the incredible score that is on every single film that he has, whether it's Hans Zimmer, Ludwig Van Goranson.
Right.
He's just every time he's able, he creates such a like a cake, with layers and layers.
Yeah. Except for that last one, Tenet, I have to
Yeah,
have some issues with that
I
one.
might have to throw that one in the garbage.
I mean, listen, you can't be great at everything, so it's okay to have like one or two duds. I mean, Steven Spielberg had the same problem. So
it was a pandemic movie. I mean, it was, and Nolan only likes his movies in the movie theater, and Tenet was not in the movie theater.
I can't even still see Oppenheimer. You saw it twice already.
I want to see it 3 times,
and I can't even see it once in 70 millimeter IMAX because we only have, I think, only one theater. It might be a second one, but I think it's only one theater, at least in Manhattan, that has it, and it's been sold out for the past almost a month now since the movie's been out.
Trying to overtake
like
Barbie.
Part of me wants to be like, you know what? I'm gonna take a long lunch break and just go sit in the middle of the day.
3-hour lunch.
3-hour lunch, and just come back and be like, yeah, that's all Oppenheimer.
They're like, Dak, where are we? I was eating. What'd you have for lunch? Popcorn.
Come back afterwards. But you highlight something. You talked about the score. Is that something that's really important to you? Like,
yes.
And then what is it about the score that really connects you to a film?
It just amazes me when a score can depict the action that's happening in the film, and it just matches perfectly.
Yeah,
it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's just a perfect combination, and when they get it right, it's everything. And it makes you, and also scores help you reminisce the film better. When you hear it, you hear the Jurassic Park theme, you hear the Star Wars theme, you hear the Harry Potter theme, you automatically think of nostalgia, your childhood.
It's so true. I didn't think about that. You're so right, because even when you think of shows now, and I think of most of Star Wars, that's probably the biggest one, because it's like, I'm just going to think of something about the movie, the show, the anthology, whatever the case is, you're going to connect it one way or another.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool.
Also makes a really good running playlist because you feel like you're Batman for a bit.
Oh, the Batman one, The Dark Knight.
It's too good.
I always get like still to the point where I hear it and I'm just like, the scene, I think about the scene when the Joker is with Rachel.
Yeah.
And the music's going, and she's like, "I'll tell you, I got these scars on my face." And it's just like something about it. I was like, "Oh my god, the build up to it!"
Yeah.
Like even when I hear the song, I think about that, and I'm just like that. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that was such a great movie. That was The Dark Knight.
It was, fabulous. And I think actually, Dak, that The Dark Knight Rises would have been Joker themed if Heath Ledger still was alive. I think that was Nolan's plan.
I probably agree with you on that 100%. It's probably gone down. I've had this debate with my friends. It's probably gone as one of the best. I'm being biased, but probably one of the best superhero films. Outside of what I still think Avengers Endgame is great, but I'm biased with Marvel. But I would say that was probably one of the best ones.
Well, Batman's the only realistic superhero.
Okay, we're not getting to that topic. That's another day. But
what other superhero is realistic? The Hulk?
Yes. Black Widow, Hawkeye, not that they're spies.
Look, just find a rich guy. Rich guy gets a lot of really good
Iron
equipment.
Man.
Yeah, but he's flying, and he's got like this thing in his heart, and it's like,
Okay, we'll say that another time. But it was a great movie. I think for me too, at least for when I think of a good movie in my eyes, there's probably two things. I think it really comes down to story, and I think because I'm a writer, I think about your characters and you think about the story where it goes. I hate a story that doesn't have a complete ending or a really good arc to it. Um, and I think if your characters aren't developed, it really tees me off. I'll give you a prime example, which we'll talk about later in our list of movies. Gone with the Wind, hands down, probably one of the best films ever. Maybe not a lot of generations seen it, but at some point, someone's always seen it, and it's been known as a cinema classic. The main character in it, Scarlett, she is literally so you know when you watch a movie, a character either comes in a certain way, they have some kind of journey. I'll take Star Wars for example. You have Luke.
mm-hmm.
Luke is here, not know what's going on. Obi-Wan comes along as kind of his, anti-hero kind of guide. He loses his, spoiler alert, if you have not watched Star Wars and you got issues, but he loses his aunt, uncle, and now he has to go on this quest.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on this whole journey that he was expecting. And by the end of this journey, he ends up blowing up the Death Star, becoming like a rebel like hero. And it's like he had this whole development. Like he's just a kid from ten to be. Yeah, I always get it right.
And he almost got away with incest with his sister.
Okay. Okay, fine, yes. But ideally you see how the character changed through that one film.
Absolutely.
And Gone with the Wind, Scarlett is the same character from the beginning of the movie to the end.
I still need to watch that movie. So
I will. We'll have a sit down and watch it. But ideally, she literally is the same character to the end. Now the rest of the movie was great. It was just long, but it was great. But she has not changed. She goes from the beginning to the end, the same character. And people always like say it's such a great film. Like, yeah, but not for character development because that did not happen.
Right.
And I think you need to learn to have character development in your stories. And I think as long as you do that, and even with Christopher Nolan, like his movies, the characters go through a lot. Even Interception, I still to this day don't know if it stopped spinning.
Yeah, I think you almost said Interception.
I almost thought because I thought of Interstellar and I thought of Inception.
That would be an interesting.
Can you imagine putting those together at the same time?
I mean, time is still the.
That is very true. Yeah, I mean that's one of his things that he likes to toy with a lot. But yeah, I still think this. I don't know if it stops spinning.
Imagine Leo DiCaprio in space.
Ugh.
Interception.
Oh God, that'd be hilarious.
He'd be like, there's no one here who's under 25.
You're like, well, I don't know. And I think it goes back to, and I also think nostalgia plays a part. But I love a story that just really is either is somewhat based on a true story, but also, we talked about The Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans,
which is technically just about, Steven Spielberg's life. And something that's based off of that in context just makes it so much cooler to relate to. And it makes you feel you're connecting to either the person who's writing it or creating it. One of the movies some of my friends did not like, but I love, but only because I come from a family of divorce, is Marriage Story. And that was by Greta Gerwig and her partner. And it was because that's what a divorce family goes through,
right?
And I think when you have a movie you can connect to on some level, fantasy, whatever case may be, and I think it makes it great. I mean, Black Panther was a comic book character, but Chadwick meant so much more than that, and that character meant so much more than just a comic book character.
Yeah,
it was a movement. It was a more of empowerment. It was seeing Black characters like that you could not see before because most Marvel characters are white.
Yeah.
But it created such a movement where it's like you have to represent this, you have to show this, and that showing that representation in movies is great. I mean, even Barbie, even though it was, it had its moments, and it was a little woke, whatever the case is, it showed representation and it talked about feminism in a way that was like, damn, okay, this is what women go through every day. This is how this happens, and of course you're going to question things, and you have to feel like you don't get to speak up. I thought it was really crazy. People were getting dumped because of the movie. I was reading articles that people with relationships went to the movie and came out and were not together.
Maybe they realized that these men were misogynistic.
But I'm also if it took a movie for you to tell you that, there might have been problems before that.
I mean,
I would think.
The only thing I can think about is wow, Margot Robbie, what a gorgeous woman.
Which I don't feel bad for. I remember there was one scene in the movie that was just you can't feel bad for her. Like, it's Margaret Robbie. Come on. Also, she's always Harley Quinn in my eyes because no one else can play Harley Quinn, but she did a really good job playing Harley Quinn. Though some of those movies were still stupid, but
I always think of her as the Duchess of Brooklyn and Wolf of Wall Street.
oh, now that's another good film too.
Yeah. That was like her big break, I think.
I think it was. She had other small, but yeah, I think that might have been the one for her.
She was like early 20s then.
Yeah, yeah.
That was 2014.
I'm happy for her.
Oh yeah,
she's doing great. But yeah, in my eyes, I think those things are great movies. But I think also it just comes down to. I always think of a movie you can watch over and over again. Like, is there a movie you can think off the top of your head that you could probably watch over and over again, and it wouldn't even skip a beat for you? Can you think of one, maybe one or two movies you can think about?
probably Interstellar.
You just watch it all the time. Be fine with it.
I mean, it's it's definitely a staple in my life for sure. Probably the Harry Potters, all of them.
You love Harry Potter.
I do. I'm a
What's your
sucker.
favorite one though?
My favorite movie or my favorite book?
Oh,
It's a difference.
okay, it's different. Okay, we'll go with movie.
My favorite movie is probably The Goblet of Fire.
That's a good one.
Um,
Good changing point too
yes,
for Harry.
it's when things got dark.
Yeah. I remember taking my nephew to see that movie, and then that's when Cedric died. And he just was, I think he might have been 6 or 7 at the time.
He became a vampire after that.
Yeah, that makes it fun.
Yeah. Or was that before? No, it was after.
I think he did it after.
It was
that.
after. Yes. That movie came out in 2005.
Yeah, he definitely was young.
He was young.
Yeah.
Favorite book was The Deathly Hallows, the last one.
Do you have issues when, or maybe you just know this, but when a book does not live up to the hype of a movie, but you know there's things that get changed, but you're okay with that? You're not like a person who's like, oh, this is awful because it's not the same as a book,
No, I just think, I think with Harry Potter in general, there's so much detail,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you want to see it in a certain way, and you want to see certain points.
Right.
And if they don't bring it up in the movie, you're like, why did they do that? So
Mhm.
I'm curious what they're going to do in the new show.
I really hate
whenever that comes
I really
out.
hate that they're doing that. I just think it was fine as it is. I understand it's a money and marketing thing, but like, it's just, I think some things you just don't need to touch, and you just leave it be.
Yeah, like Space Jam.
You were going hard on that movie.
I mean, the original Space Jam was the best.
It was good. I didn't see the second one, but I heard. I mean, I remember the first one. It was really good. So if you're telling me the second one was bad, maybe I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably recommend a few more movies before you watch that one.
Okay, we'll go down that road. I think for me, my 2 favorite films. One is a classic. It's All About Eve.
Oh, I've never seen it.
It's really good. Betty Davis, and it's just a movie that just I always love a good black and white movie. I'm just an old man like that, but like that one is always one I would always go to and just think about all the time.
Interesting.
And then my other one, when I take my long flights to cross the pond, is usually The Greatest Showman's and Jurassic World.
That's usually your go-to.
Those are usually my 2 go-to movies I would watch on long
Interesting.
flights or a long haul. Now, if I'm home, I might watch Greatest Showman from time, but only because I love Hugh Jackman. But I don't think I ever watched Jurassic World when I was home. But on a flight, and most of my flights are very long because I was from California, so I've been spending like 5 hours on flights all my life. So it's usually those 2 movies I go to.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess you feel like you're flying to Jurassic Park. I didn't know I didn't know Jurassic Park was in Scotland, but
that's the connection I'm making.
But it makes sense. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, I just think Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, 2 of them I actually watched. I think at least why I connect more with Jurassic World is because it's almost like a homage to the original movie. So it obviously comes out later, and they restart the park. So it's almost like this whole generation that comes in.
That's a good point. They did a good job with that one. The other 2 are trash.
The other 2, I was like,
well, Jeff Goldblum was in 2 of them, so I'm happy.
Your guy, I know. But it was kind of reawakening. It talked about that nostalgia we talked about. It was like, okay, it's the elements from the original movie, so it was like something you can always go back to and like blend both series in a way. The Greatest Showman, I just think it's great because it's just about just being a showman. So Hugh Jackman's just amazing, and the music's just great too.
Zac Efron too, right?
Zac Efron's in it too. Yeah, Zendaya. Yeah.
Zendaya. Damn, she's sneaky. She's.
I mean, listen, she is on the come up. She is one of my favorite actresses, and her and Timothy Chalamet, because I don't think that boy can do no wrong, but that's because I have a huge crush on him. But also, he is just an amazing actor, in my eyes.
Big time. I like his sister, Pauline.
She's really funny. I watched her show, Secret
Sex.
Lives of Sex Girl. What's it?
Very close. Sex Life of College Girls.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Mindy Kaling.
She was really funny. I actually liked her.
She's adorable.
Yeah. But you know, my new one is the Batman, because it's 3.5 hours. So I can knock out 3.5 hours on a flight.
I think that's the standard now. If you want to like make a big impact movie, it's got to be 3 hours.
God, isn't that crazy? I look back at movies in the back of the day, and it's like they were only like an hour 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's like big epic, but like even maybe 2 hours and 20. But like now it's crazy.
The only person who can pull that off now is Wes Anderson.
He's amazing, but it just seems to be the same thing every time. But hey, you got a niche, you know how to go for it. Make it happen, my friend. Make it happen. Real quick, we're gonna go over the AFI's greatest American films, and I don't think you've seen most of these, but the top 5 would be number 5 being Lawrence of Arabia, Gone with the Wind is number 4,
Mm-hmm.
The Godfather is number
3,
Casablanca is number 2, and Citizen Kane is number 1.
and this is all time.
These are for all times, the greatest American films, because I know there's other films in the world, but
This will change in 10 years as people.
But this has not though. This is mainly now they have updated after the 10th spot to some films, but after about this list came out in early maybe 2000s, it has not changed.
Right, but I think that it'll change.
You don't think so?
Very soon, yeah, because as people pass away that have watched that, I think it'll change.
As the older boomers are gone.
Yeah, exactly. As the World War II veterans.
You're not wrong. All right, our next topic is going to be about, you're really good about this with me, but I'm a little biased because, we're on my podcast. Sports. You were so good about, you and Ryan are pretty good about, most of my guy friends are, but you're so good about knowing your sports and knowing about it. But also, my question is, how can a gay guy relate to sports when they have no either interest or understanding of it, but still feel part of the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I think that just going to a game in general is very fun, with the libations and just everything that goes on. But that's a tough question because it just depends on what is important to you, what you like. I mean, there are plenty of gay men out there who play professional sports.
That's true. And we have been seeing a lot of that, which is really awesome to see that representation.
Absolutely.
Great.
Carl Nassib, linebacker. I think he's on the Raiders.
Raiders, yeah.
He might not be on the team. He might be I think he's on the Raiders or the Buccaneers now.
Oh, cool.
And then there's a few that have come and gone. And I think it's going to be more of a trend as people become more accepting of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just important to get close to the sport and hang out with somebody that is really into it. If you really care about somebody who likes the sport, I think that's really what happens. That's really when you start to understand it.
That's really true. And I think, my problem is always when you guys talk stats and you talk about fantasy football, I'm I don't understand any of that shit. I'm not going to know stats. Unless it's something I like the Patriots, and it's not because of Tom Brady, but I just like them in general because they were a great team and they hate the Giants. So that's why I like them.
And now they're not good anymore.
Okay, that's fine. Our dynasty is over.
It's been over.
You're Targaryen, it's over. You burned down a kingdom and you're dead. So
May
rise again, but we'll know.
Well, Tom Brady's in Hurts now. So
yeah.
Or trying to call it.
Did you imagine? That's all those commercials now. Insane.
They did a good job. He says "Let's go" all the time, and they made that their slogan. So that was brilliant.
I mean, listen, get your coin. We got to get your coin. I love that. But yeah, I just never can get to the stats. But I think I guess for you, because you grew up obviously watching sports and this and that. Do you feel it just comes natural to you, or you just more of you love the sport, you love watching it, you're always gonna stay on top of that, and you're gonna always have that great conversation piece when
I think everything starts when you grow up. All behavior starts when you grow up. If your father, if your mother, or if your big brother plays sports, you're just gonna be that's all you know.
Yeah.
But my dad got married in 1986 when the Mets won the World Series.
Wow.
Might have been the best year of his life.
Okay. That's awesome.
And he married my mom that year too.
Yep.
And I was born, and my dad was a baseball player, and there you go. I played baseball.
Nice.
It's all about how you're raised.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to explain it.
You grew up in a baseball, household.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
And then, when you start playing, you build confidence, like, oh, I want to do this more. I want to be more competitive about it.
Right.
It's the same thing with you with writing. It's all about what interests you.
Yeah.
But, to answer your question, I think that if you're looking to, if you're genuinely interested in something like sports, then you'll find a way.
You'll find and make it a way to connect with you.
Yeah. I think that.
Aside just not looking at the players' asses or just how hot they are.
I mean, I'm sure it's a big part of your life. But
one way or another.
Yes, exactly. But I think that it all depends on how you grow up.
Yeah.
And people also need to be connected to a player. Like you were connected to Tom Brady at one point. A lot of people were connected to Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Growing up in New York.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about.
And now, what are your top or your favorite sports?
I think my favorite sport to watch is football.
Okay.
Because I just love, I do a little bit of sports betting. I'm not a degenerate like some of my friends out there.
Just betting like their rent and everything else.
Just betting the deed to their house, betting their girlfriend.
Gambling, hey, people, gambling is an issue. So if you know it's a problem,
call them 1-800. Let's go to our sponsor.
Roll credits.
Roll the credits. And we're back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I ran track in high school. I played some Frisbee in college, played some baseball and basketball in high school. I would have to say, my favorite team of all time is the Mets because that's my dad got me into that when I was a kid. And, I worked in sports.
You did. You used to work for the Yankees.
Worked for the Yankees from 2015 to 2020 during the pandy.
Yeah.
Left during the pandy. Became a recruiter. And actually,
do you miss it?
No, because my love for sports actually increased because you don't want to shit where you eat.
Makes sense.
You know what I
respect that. Respect that.
So I think now it's a lot easier to watch, but Yankees and the Mets both stink this year. So let's have football start.
That was an abysmal game we saw.
Yeah. You and my friend Taylor was in town. And
we were kind of plastered.
you and him were killing Hendrix.
I had something to get through that because I was like, once again, I love going with you guys, and I think here's the thing I love about it. It's like you've mentioned, it's something to do as a group and as friends, and just go out there and like enjoy the scenario. And I think nothing is more. I hate to say it's more American than baseball, but I think it's just something about like I can never watch them. I've watched on TV sometimes, but like it's something about actually being there and just being in the moment. It's how I feel about hockey too. Like I can kind of watch hockey on TV, but like I love to actually be there and just watch it.
Yeah.
It's an energy, like you said, it's an energy of being there. And I may not understand all of it, but I will say that people have been so much nicer about like, if you don't know something or whatever the case is, like maybe post-COVID or whatever the case is, like people are just like more engaging. But once again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier about people just want to get out. And these are the moments to do this and make that happen. So
exactly.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, stadium's like a fortress, right? It's away from reality.
That's true. Sure.
And I think that's a big part of it. And people feel, there's a huge monopoly on the food. Obviously the food's extremely expensive, but like there's something about, a $30 million hot dog that, it's just great going to a ballpark. Mustard's always free though, and ketchup.
The condiments,
condiments are free typically, but I think they're in the price somewhere.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Never have a gluten-free hot dog again. It was disgusting. The bread was like, paper.
Well, it's so crazy because like, with John, it's just like he obviously grew up in Ireland and now he lives in Glasgow in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And in that country, football is life. And it's like a way, I guess for us in America, football's our thing, but for them, soccer is their thing.
Yeah, real football. Football.
So it's crazy because I had to learn to teach myself to be like, okay, I need to understand how he loves the sport so much, but also like to be somewhat interested in it. And it's nothing against the people who play it. I understand it's a whole business. I started watching Ted Lasso, which was kind of helpful, and it made me kind of appreciate it a little more. But it's just so long.
Yes.
It's like 90 minutes.
It's 90 minutes. Sometimes
they play hard, and sometimes it goes more. And like the craziest thing when it comes to John, he knows the stats. He knows everything. He wears a jersey. Like the same things we do. But it's just like I can't get his attention. I don't even bother trying to talk to him those times. I'm like, okay, you're in your zone. But also, it's like I don't know how I can really get into it. But it's funny because his friends know I don't really care because I'm an American. I just don't care about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just drink. I'm not sponsoring drinking, but for some reason, it makes it a lot nicer.
Look, you keep the place open.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, that's what they do there. They go to a pub, they watch the game, they go crazy, and then after the game, they go to a pub and they do the same thing.
Well, you just answered your question before where you were asking about, how do I get into something like that?
Yeah.
As an American, I feel like you're brought into the world with so many different things available to you.
That's
if you live in Glasgow, for example, like what else, like besides locks, like lakes, that means, like you're brought, like everybody likes soccer there.
Yeah.
Every single person. That's like, it's part of their tradition.
Yeah.
It's part of their livelihood.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Italy. Same thing with, it's just, I feel like it's more of a Europe thing, but
I agree with you. I think it really is a Europe thing, but I think it's just great to kind of see that quality. But I don't know. He doesn't push it on me, but I know like I do it for him, but also I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know how I can get to these games sometimes. But I also respect it. I know a couple of players who are really cool and awesome, and I had to watch the World Cup, and that was very hard.
The Women's World Cup?
I did watch that a little bit, and it was interesting. And obviously, I root for my girls, but I watched the World Cup when I was in Paris last year for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to watch. I mean, it was fun, but I was just like, it was more entertaining for him. I was just like, yay, team.
That's amazing, though. I mean, it's good to have somebody, it's good to have a partner with different interests.
It is. Yeah. It makes it really fun. It's kind of like when I go out with you guys and you guys get into football, and I find it very hilarious that you guys just, especially you and Ryan, you just like get into debates and I just sit there and I'm like,
I'm salivating. I can't wait for week one.
Oh God, I'm about to go through this again this year. Okay, that's fine. I'm ready. Well, Ian, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about where your career is right now and kind of your aspirations.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, how's it like growing up Jewish in New York City, which I feel like
it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
I feel like you're fine. This and you run out, you run Hollywood. So.
All right. Anyway,
I'm not wrong. Just saying.
I mean, there's a lot of look. We're funny. What can I tell you? We're funny people. We make fun of ourselves.
You got me to Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No, I don't think I did. I think
wasn't it you?
Someone else probably did. It was my brother. It's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in Great Neck, Long Island, very Jewish area. I went to a very Jewish school.
Yeah.
Even it wasn't a Jewish school per se. It was just a lot of Jewish people there.
Got it.
I was bar mitzvahed. Both my parents are Jewish. I was very culturally Jewish growing up, but I was never very religious.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I feel like if you get too religious, it gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't leave room for other things.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've, my entire family, we all moved to Manhattan during the pandemic. I lived in Astoria, Queens for a while. I worked for the Yankees. Now I'm a recruiter. I work for Dr. Squatch, best soap ever.
Shout out Dr. Squatch.
And I recruit for some great people and bring them to the company.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Philly last year. Now I'm back in New York. Tried it out. 32 years old and
still a baby.
32 is the new 31. That's what they're saying now in People magazine.
That's what it is. Okay.
And yeah, I have a brother and sister. They're also Jewish.
No shit.
Yeah, exactly. And to answer your question, being Jewish in New York is pretty easy because there's a lot of us.
It's a lot of you.
However, there's in the percentage of people that are Jewish in the world, it's like a dot in the sky. It's nothing.
Very true. No, that's actually true.
But we try our best, and yeah,
that's good. And then I think a lot of it, what I admired about you and your family is you guys are so close and very connected. And I think, that's really awesome that you got to keep that. And I think, how was that growing up, all you guys in the same house? Like you guys have very eclectic personalities, not in a bad way, but like you guys are very.
We still fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all love.
Definitely goes to a good place, but just like,
yeah,
that's a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. We had a lot of, we have a big age gap. I mean, my sister and I were 3 years apart. My brother and I were 9 years apart.
Oh, big.
So, actually, I didn't even want a brother. I wanted a golden retriever. And then, my mom said, "Hey, I'm pregnant." And I cried, and and she didn't become unpregnant, so I really had no choice.
Oh,
And now he's 23 years old.
I know, Josh is growing up.
And yeah, I mean, I think it just I think having good family values and genuinely caring about each other and
Yeah.
understanding hot buttons of each, it's very important, but it also makes a lot of room for angst, and because we're so close,
Right.
and living in the same place. But my sister's very close with my mom. They're like best friends.
Yeah.
My brother and my dad and I are very close to my dad. I'm very close to my mom too, but
Right.
I want my parents to enjoy their life at this point. And
Because they're at the retirement age now, right?
yeah, I mean, my mom's going to be 60 actually next week, and
she looks very young.
Yeah.
Also, your Nana, she looks very young too.
Yeah,
she's not 90 now.
92.
92.
Yeah.
Wow, she looks really good.
She does look good, and she gets hit on by 70-year-old men.
Stop it, really?
She does. I'm serious. If my grandma wanted to get a date, she wouldn't need Hinge.
That's amazing. I love that.
But yeah, I mean, now we're all back in New York and just working remotely as a recruiter.
Yeah. And then how does that really affect you? How should it affect you? But like, how do you integrate, this great kind of family core you have into your, your dating life, your relationships? Like a girl's kind of like, oh, he's a family guy. I love that. Or they're just kind of like, oh, you're too involved in your family. Like you need to tone it down, or like what the case is. Like, how does that kind of play into you and building those connections?
Yeah. I mean, I think that first off, it's a green flag if your partner is close with their family.
Green flag, okay.
Yeah,
green
it is because not too close, not like attached to the hip, close.
Sure.
Like that SNL episode when they're all making out with each other.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
Was it the kissing family, the makeup family?
Yeah.
I mean that never happens. But it's definitely something that I value very highly.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I meet somebody who's like obsessed with their parents, like obsessed, it's probably a red flag, because then they're going to be all about my business and our business for the rest of our lives, and they're not going to stop.
That was very hard for you. One of your past relationships.
That
was hard, right?
It was hard. There were a little bit too much in there, and
because I think in-laws or potential in-laws, it's great to have that connection and be connected, but not to the point of, I guess, dictating your relationship in a way and like your direction of where you to go. Like you have babies this time, you do this way, or they're there all the time, or like you should do this and that. That's probably a lot to.
Yeah, it's almost like they're asking you, "Hey, are you? My daughter, she's ovulating. You better.
Oh God.
You better sleep with her, or else."
Oh,
I mean, that'd be interesting. That'd be a good comedy skit, but.
Wow, could you imagine that?
Absolutely, but I think that it is a green flag for sure, and it's definitely something that it's interesting, Dak, because it's almost like you want to marry somebody that has like similar values to your parents almost.
It's true that what the saying was like, oh, you marry someone like your mother or your father.
Yes, but that looks nothing like your mother, hopefully.
Probably not. I mean,
although I've seen
no judgment, but
trust me, I've seen, especially in the Jewish community, it's like, is my friend dating his mom, or is that just his?
Oh my God, no.
And I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna ask.
Yeah.
And then you get to the wedding, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is mom. And yeah, I mean, I haven't found the right woman yet, but I think it's really important to focus on yourself. Make sure you're good inside and out. And eventually the right one just comes along. It's like John Mayer said, "I'll be around when the right one comes."
That's your other boy, your man crush.
I mean, he's just an excellent guitarist. We'll talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah, another time. Speaking of working on yourself, you had mentioned your struggles with anxiety, and in a city like New York City, I only imagine what that's like. How did that kind of come to you, and then how have you found? What have been your remedies that kind of help you with that kind of anxiety? I mean, is it categorized as social anxiety, or is it just like regular? Just plain anxiety?
No, social anxiety would be that you're nervous to be with people.
Okay.
And you know very well that I'm not nervous to be with people.
Yeah, no, I've seen your friend list.
Yeah, so I mean, I love people. Like I'm a social butterfly, which actually is why I'm happy I'm remote, because when I'm in the office, I can't concentrate, especially if there are good-looking women around.
Oh goodness!
But
what happened to shitting where you eat? Remember that?
You can always look.
That's true. You're fair. That's fair.
Know?
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of people though I've met that they date at work, And it's like, don't you want a break from your spouse? Like,
Yeah,
do
I
you want
don't
to talk
know.
about work when you get home? Like, don't you want to like escape and get a little break?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on
You know what
that
I
one.
mean? not the break that you and John have. You guys are like thousands of miles away from each other, but
Hmm.
um, still give you a lot of credit for that, and you do it well. You
Yeah,
guys do
well,
it very well.
try. Yeah,
No, you do it very well.
yeah.
But I think that anxiety has always been a big part of my life. I've had it since I was young, and
Hmm.
um, it's I definitely had some um, tough anxiety when I was like elementary school, middle school, where it was like
Really?
debilitating. Yeah,
Wow. Like you couldn't
and
like leave the house or just.
sometimes I couldn't. It was just
Wow.
I was very it was a big part of my life, and it prevented me from doing a lot of things. But I think that the perseverance really shaped me to the man I am today.
That's awesome.
And everybody hits rock bottom in their life at some point. Whether
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
I'm happy it happened to me when I was a kid,
Yeah.
instead of an adult, because that can change everything,
Oh, absolutely.
especially in this day and age when everything's on a mirror right in front of you.
Yeah.
But dealing with anxiety, I think it's important to find something you love to
Okay.
do. Find something that makes you escape a little bit.
Hmm.
And for me, that's guitar playing. I've been playing guitar since I was 14.
You're pretty good at it.
Yeah, I try. It's
I mean, you
just a hobby.
serenade me a couple times.
I do. You're the only guy I'd serenade, and my roommate Mike.
Oh, I feel. Well, I don't feel as special anymore.
So I live with him. So
He's a great guy.
great guy. Shout out Mike.
Shout out, Mike.
And running's important now that I'm back physically healthy again from my surgery.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get back out there and feel free.
Nice.
And in terms of running, I mean, it's definitely I'd love to do a marathon one day.
You're really thinking about like? Are you thinking like a New York Marathon? Or are you thinking like?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Like, that would be an amazing feeling for me
Yeah.
to know, because I used to run like maybe like very mid distance, like maybe no more than like 7 miles.
Wow. That's still impressive. Yeah.
I mean, there are people who destroy me,
Are
but
they black?
well, when I sprinted in high school and there were black guys next to me, I was like shaking their hand. I was like, congratulations.
Yeah, you're like
before I even ran, I was
You're
like,
like,
all right, congratulations. You're gonna win. And that's that.
Yeah.
And it's great. So I would love to run a marathon, but I think just being in shape is the most important thing to me.
Yeah. And I guess maybe that's like you said when it comes to your anxiety, but also finding something. But then it's also maybe it's helping you feel more good about yourself, and it's taking a lot of that pressure off. Because working out gives off endorphins, and
you kickbox and you do all those things and you try, and
yeah.
I know you want to make it more of part of your life, and I think that and you have a gorgeous gym downstairs. So
I do. I'm not really good at going. I mean, I'm more of a swimmer. I've been swimming since I was like a kid. Yes, black people can't swim. But
no one said that.
no one said that. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's a love and anxiety. I think anxiety and stress sometimes are almost similar in certain ways, and I think I was telling you things and gripe from my last job and just like feeling so stressed because sometimes you feel stressed, you eat or you're eat stressing because you're just kind of like in this depressed mode of like working to make a living, but then you're also stressed out doing it. And so I think for me, it was always just stress because I literally had to like balance school, a social life, 5 to 6 weddings a fucking year. Like I'm tired of my friends getting married. And
it's not gonna be a while for me. It's gonna be a while for me.
Be glad. And then it was just all those different things. And so, I definitely, understand what you're saying, like having that working out and doing that and figuring it out. And I think you've been doing pretty well with that,
I feel, I'm happy about it. It's one day at a time. Don't take yourself too seriously.
No.
Everybody has shit going on.
All the time.
Some people hide it better than others. Some people post on Instagram and Facebook a million times a day because they need attention. Some people, don't talk at all. Everybody handles it differently.
I had a friend once who did that, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I understand we have social media for expressions. I do get that. I respect that. That's what it's for, or connecting with friends. I just connect with my friends and keep in contact. I swear to God, he would post the most stupidest shit sometimes, and I'd just be like, "Are you doing this for attention? Or are you doing this because like you're bored?"
It's probably attention. Like, why would you post a quote about like life not being good, but then it's good again?
Right. Or you're like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by all these hot boys. And I'm like, but you're still single.
It's an attention thing. It's
I
like,
was just like, but okay, what is that doing for you?
I
You know,
mean, a like on Facebook is like an adrenaline rush for some
it really
people.
is. Like, I have another friend, like, they're always like, if you don't like their posts or like they think something's wrong, it's like, it's not, I don't not like your post. Like, I never like ever really understood that. And that's one of the things I've been trying to teach myself about social media. I'm like, I never really cared about that shit. But then it is nice when you post something cool. I like art or nature. I think is so cool. I respect that a lot more. I'm not gonna lie though, but now I just if there's someone hot on there, I'm just like whatever. But I think mostly those are my top ones: art, travel, and it like something happening in life, like a baby or you bought a house or something good for you. So like that's good things. Not you just posting being half naked and doing something stupid and being like, oh,
That
please
might,
look at me.
that might be the more of the gay community. Uh,
It really is.
I mean, there are definitely some people who will post some things, but just like random like quotes. It's like my biggest pet peeve. Like, just stop.
I mean, unless it's, I
Yeah,
will. Sometimes I post music because I think I have a connection with music. I think
yeah.
sometimes music is a way of like an expression. I'm like, oh, I saw a quote in a song. I'm like, that's really cool, in a way, and it's like a mood set. But yeah, certain quotes people post. I'm like, do you know what that quote means?
Yeah. Do you know who Aristotle is?
You're like, wait,
Yeah,
did
do you
you
know who
really
that is?
know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but I'm glad you're back in the city. Do you miss Philly though?
yeah, I was in Philly a year and a half. I wanted to try out a new city while I have a remote job, see what it's like, spend
Yeah,
some time with some family. I was able to do that on my mom's side.
yeah.
It's not too far. It was only an Amtrak away. Um, I said if I loved it, I'd stay, and I only liked it. I didn't love it. I missed my friends. I missed you. I missed a lot of my family.
That's debatable.
I did. I did. And I'm back, and I feels great. It really does. I think you sometimes you just need a little bit of a break to realize.
Would you ever move like to the West Coast? Is that too
I
far from your
mean,
family?
well, my company's there. I mean, it's definitely something. To be honest with you, I think I don't like LA that much. I think it's
I don't think
cool.
anyone likes LA,
I
so I
think
think you're
it's
not alone.
I think it's fun to visit, but it's just a bunch of pockets,
Yeah.
and you have to drive everywhere. And
You like San Diego though. You guys went.
well, LA. I'm talking about LA. San Diego, I would live in.
You live in San Diego.
You know where
You know
where
your
Lloyd
other. You know
lives.
your other boyfriend lives
Yes, Lloyd.
there.
Shout out Lloyd.
Shout out Lloyd.
And then San Francisco's pretty nice as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think I'd live in between. You know,
Not
I want to live
Barstow,
in LA.
California, in the valley.
Yeah, because if you live in LA, then then you have to get like really good at like talking about highways and stuff, and like it gets cocky and they're like, yeah, take the forward lines, blah, blah, blah. It's just
Or you complain about how much traffic you sit in every day. It's like,
traffic. Oh, LAX, LAX, LAX. Just shut up.
it's so crazy because like I think about, I talked to John about this. But I think a lot of times, and that's what we talked about with films. Is like I did a couple of studio tours when I was there, and I just was like, it's just the magic of movie making. Obviously started there, at least for American cinema. But it's just like I think LA has just changed so much.
Well, it
But
used
I
to be
think we're
City of
getting that.
Angels.
I did. I lived in LA for like a short period of time, but I think a lot of it was that it's just a point of what I say. Like it's like a bubble. So you have the levels of Hollywood, but I think it's changed so much, and it's so hard to have a level of understanding of what's going on because obviously it evolves and changes in
Right.
life. But that's like the only thing I really care about. But like, yeah, I agree with you. LA's not the best, but I grew up in Oakland, so I grew up in the Bay Area. So like, I feel like the Bay Area has been like always been a great constitute for a great city. San Jose, like my family is in Hayward, but like going to San Francisco all the time was like always fun just to be over there. Now, I personally wouldn't live in San Francisco because I grew up there, so it's nothing that I love about it. But it's always fun to go home and see people and
Yeah.
hang out. Now, half my friends who are in San Francisco or in LA, so
It's. I mean,
I don't know how that happened, but they ended up transferring there, and I was like, okay,
well, San Fran isn't exactly I mean, it's artists live there, but they don't make it there.
no,
You know what
but
I mean?
the average
Do they?
median income is like $200,000 a year. So the .com just want to fuck that up. But ideally, when we were talking about the TV show I was working on, it's based off like growing up in the Bay Area, and I find it nowadays will be more relatable versus when I grew up there, because now it's become such a hot spot to live. But I think it's only because people don't realize this. Like parts of San Francisco feel like Brooklyn. I've go back. I mean, besides the actual
For
hills,
sure.
which are amazing, and good for your legs and hiking.
San Fran's great.
But it just feels like Brooklyn. It feels like certain parts of Williamsburg or
With huge
Bushwick.
hills.
Yeah. But it's just like the neighborhood vibe of it just feels very like
What's your favorite part of Brooklyn? I mean, favorite part of San Francisco?
the Castro. No, I like Twin Peaks. Hayden Ashbury's a great. Nob Hill's beautiful.
Yeah.
The Marina's a nice area too.
Pacific
And
Heights.
Pacific Heights is great too. And the Richmond district is really nice because you have the ocean, which is beautiful.
Right.
But I mean, as a kid, I thought about living there and growing up there, but then I was like, I don't know. Now as I got older, I think I'm so connected to New York. But now I'm on this whole thing now of like, do I move to London? I don't know. Because that's my next phase of my life.
I think that you'll know when you know.
Well, also, I need to actually visit London. So that's probably important. I mean, I've been to the airport.
Your teeth are too nice to go to London.
You're the worst. No, it's just like I've always been to the airport, but not the actual city. And Shauna gets in my case about this. She always invites me and I never go. But I think I need to experience it for myself. But also, we lived in Orlando for a little bit. I lived a lot longer than you did.
I lived like 5 months there.
But I was like 5 years. And like 4.5, 5 years. And so it's like you have this experience of growing up and going there. And all these things like contribute to my storytelling to the point of like you experience so much of life in different cultures. The South, the West, the East, and it's like, and all these things combine together. But it's like, I think now for let's say my writer's journey, it's like I need to do something different. Scotland obviously is like I wouldn't say a second home, but I guess could be because I'm there 4 or 5 times out of the year now.
And that's cool. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, not everybody has that situation where, like, you have somebody that you love in Scotland.
I know. Wasn't that crazy? I was, like, complaining to you. I was like, I didn't go to Hamptons this year. But then you were like, bitch, you went to Scotland like 3 times. So I was like,
yeah, I mean,
that's true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the
gorgeous.
Hamptons, though. I love the Hamptons.
I mean, the Hamptons and Scotland are very different.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's definitely New York City is the best. I mean,
yes, we're biased because we live here. Well, also because I think it's a great city in the world.
You also pay. I feel like the rent you pay is like half of it's like a membership fee to live in Manhattan, where you like play in a jungle.
If anyone has, I mean, I have a lot of friends who have rent control. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys have it so good. Like you have no idea, like how good.
Oh my God!
Because it's literally like the best thing. And it's funny, you find a lot of rent control places, and we have like affordable housing now, which is great. But like, you get stills sometimes, which is like amazing. That you probably weren't able to get before. Now, I still think New York City is a very expensive city in general.
It's number 2 in the world. Hong Kong number 1.
It's crazy, but I think the experiences you get in the city is just amazing. And I think it's great for storytelling. I was saying this in another podcast. We were talking about how certain shows appeal. You live Seinfeld and all the other shows and Friends. And it's like, the city is really a story too.
It's a story.
It brings so much to life to what you think about and what you think of New York City and how these characters develop, which I love that about New York.
Oh,
it's always a story. You can make any story out of New York City.
Yeah. I mean, remember we were watching the vampire show and it was in New York City.
Oh, The Strain. Yeah, you gotta finish that.
Yeah, we do. My roommate finished it. He loved it.
He binged it, didn't he?
Yeah. I watched the final with him the other day.
Jesus Christ.
It was, I mean, we love shows. So we watch a lot of shows together.
That's
but
cool.
It's I mean, it's a staple. I mean, it's I mean, your favorite show, Sex and the City, is from
love Sex and the City.
Yeah. And
sometimes, but mostly I do.
Most shows really they start in New York. Yeah. It feels like. And
even movies. I mean, a lot of great movies are in New York, and you don't really think about when it's just like, oh God, that's so cool to see that happen, or see like I love the romantic comedies like
When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, they're just so good, and just like the city just plays such a backdrop to it, which is so amazing. But
I mean, it's amazing that there's a huge 4-mile park in this.
Yeah,
I think it's actually longer than that. It might be 5 miles long.
What park? Are you talking about Central Park?
Yeah, it's the big one in the middle of the city.
Yes, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, I think well, it starts from 59th Street to 110th.
Yes.
So, what is that, like 4.5 miles?
Something like that.
Yeah.
13. Actually, what's funny? Golden Gate Park is bigger.
Yes, but in Golden Gate Park is just more beautiful. I think it's just beautiful. Just I mean,
Mm,
it's a little bit different. I mean, California's
I think for me it's both. I think it's both Golden Gate and Central Park for me because I think the lore, but I also think the lore of Central Park is that the city is such a great backdrop. Whereas Golden Gate Park, you don't have as many you can't see as many high rises.
no,
You have great apartments and homes and this and that, but I think the fact that you have this oasis in the middle of like this metropolitan city
it's everything.
makes it everything.
It's
Yeah.
the best part of the city, and
Yeah.
it's just like it has like noise canceling capabilities to it.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's a great place to run. Well, I mean,
I'm sure your runs are amazing.
they're amazing. You hear
Yeah.
you hear a little bit of jazz in the park. Like it's stellar. So I think all in all, I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to see you more often.
Well, I think that will be arranged. We've been doing pretty good. So
Yeah, we're doing good.
Well, thank you for coming on, and I hope that you'll definitely come back and talk with us.
Yeah, we'll figure out.
Sure, we'll have some new things to talk about.
New topic. We
see how your dating life's going.
It's getting there. It's going there.
I have faith. You're gonna find someone. I actually have faith. You're gonna find someone. I think this is gonna be your year. I'm sending love positivity out because I think I found my person, and so I want everyone else to do that. So I'm gonna send positive vibes out for you.
Well, that's all I need.
That's all you need. Well, guys, thanks for listening, and please come back for more. And as I always say, stay true, stay live, stay humble,
and be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Okay, I knew you were going to do that. Later, peeps.